Another edition of Riding Home here on Dog Post. Dean Legge and Dylan Webber. The number three dogs get a trip to Tennessee this week. Dylan, Kirby Smart did his best today on Monday to try to make it seem like Tennessee was a team that Georgia had to watch out for. Meanwhile, the dogs are almost 25-point favorites on the road.
You don't believe him? You don't think that this Tennessee team is better than what everyone expects or thinks?
I've seen Tennessee
I
play
don't
three.
know.
I've seen Tennessee play three times this year. They are as bad as I've seen Tennessee play in years, and that's saying something because I saw them play these last 2 years. So, no, I'm not buying it.
I don't know, man.
tell tell me
He
tell
seems
tell me
really convincing.
tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I mean, this they lost to Georgia State, man. Like what? Come on. Like, did we just forget about that? Did Kirby forget about
They
that?
didn't
Did
just
Kirby even see
lose;
it? Maybe he didn't.
they were absolutely destroyed by them, man. I mean, they got beat up bad.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah, just
Like that's horrible.
it was a bad look, and it was a game that we don't necessarily have to review here. There was a lot of news today on the injury front. Why don't you go through that one real quick?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just a list of people to go down. It sounds like Eric Stokes is going to be all right. He said that he thinks he'll practice today, but, I mean, he seems pretty well convinced that he would play this weekend. Tyson Campbell was a little bit up in the air. He said he probably won't practice today. Hopes to have him cleared by the weekend. So, that's maybe a 50-50 at this point if he actually plays or not. Who else we got? Solomon Kinley. He said the same thing. Hopes to have him ready to go this weekend, but still, unsure on that front if he will actually be ready. Justin Schaefer's probably going to take first team reps there until he gets back. And then Kyrus Jackson. He said will be cleared for the weekend, ready to play without a club.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Kyrus Jackson coming back does change the situation a little bit because now you have even more options at punt return that you didn't necessarily have. I mean, Kyrus Jackson was their number one the whole time, was he not? Did I get that wrong?
For punt returns?
For punt return, and
Or just,
then he got hurt.
I mean, it was him and Tyler Simmons. They were kind of switching off
Okay.
a little bit. But then, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because, I mean, Don Blaylock has kind of come into his own here. And before that, before Kyrus' injury, I guess in that Vanderbilt game alone, he didn't really play a whole lot. I don't even know if he played at all in that game. But once Kyrus went down, I mean, Dom got his opportunity and very much so made the most of it. So, how they divide those reps this time around will be interesting to watch, I think.
Kirby he was asked a couple of different questions. That's why he had a lot to say about Dominick Blaylock. But he is a guy that if you watch the Chiefs yesterday in the NFL, you can see what that Georgia's doing with Blaylock at times, which is the same thing that Chiefs are doing with Mecole Hardman. They're doing sometimes some false false movement just to clear up who's got who. Is it whom has whom? Dylan,
Isn't it whom? I'm
not,
actually really poor with my
I'm not
who's. I'm
certain
not gonna
on
lie.
that front, but here's what Kirby had to say about Dominick Blaylock. He says he came in and competed and worked really hard in camp. He has and he had done it on Friday nights. He went on some of the biggest stages there were on Friday nights and played some of the best teams in the state and performed well. He was usually the best player on the field, and they used him very well. They'd put him at wildcat quarterback. He returned kicks. He got a ball in the slot. You knew he was a playmaker by the way the coaches used him, and he took on all those roles in high school. So if you felt like he would be able to do the same thing in college, he went to an all-star game and scored 2 touchdowns. Anywhere he's gone, he's been one of the most competitive people on the field, and he's continued that trend at our place by outworking people and just busting his tail. So certainly Dominique has had a good run, and he didn't sort of pop in there at the beginning of the year, but now Dominick Blaylock is starting to emerge. I don't think Matt DeBerry is surprised by that, but I don't know, man. I mean, what do you make of this situation with Dominique, and how does he fit in from here on out for Georgia?
I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, they went with Kyrus to start the season. So just, do you stick with that, with your original decision making, or do you go with the guy who's doing well? I mean, it's hard to turn away from a guy like Don Blaylock at this point just because of how well he has done. maybe it's fewer opportunities for him. Sorry.
That I do know the
But
difference between fewer and
yes, I'm fully aware. That's why I had to catch myself before this whole conversation changed.
I mean,
Um,
no, I think
but
Dom has had a good start to his career at Georgia. He's explosive, not the same way that Mecole Hardman was explosive. I mean, Georgia has some seriously explosive guys in this program for a while, and these young,
Mecole's.
yeah, Mecole's not normal at all in any way. So comparing Mecole to someone else is probably not the ideal situation, but nonetheless, Dominique is explosive too, and you're seeing that some. I mean, like that one catch that he had against, I can't remember if it was Arkansas State or Notre Dame at this stage.
Which one?
I think that was against
The big
Arkansas
screen he
State.
took. I think it was Arkansas State.
Yeah,
I don't think it was against Notre Dame. He had a good catch against Notre Dame though too.
he did have a good
catch and run.
catch. Yes, he did. And I don't know, man. I mean, this team, I always look at it 40,000 feet, or I try to look at it 40,000 feet. I don't always have the capability of doing that for whatever reason, but this team, I think, stacks up pretty well with almost anyone, and it's because you have this defense that, I mean, and Kirby, we can talk about this in a second. Kirby talked about Tate Crowder today too, but this defense doesn't really have anyone that you really think about, but they're really good, and this offense, with the exception of DeAndre and Jake, I don't think people really say much about this team, but they just kind of grind you up in a way that Alabama doesn't, Oklahoma doesn't, Clemson doesn't. Clemson's offense isn't right now. I don't know what's going on with Clemson right now with their offense, but it ain't right.
You don't think things were going right for them on Saturday? They won 21-20. They saw win over against a Mac Brown led team, a national championship winning Mac Brown. Just heads up. No, I'm kidding.
Do you hear yourself?
Look good.
Yeah, they did not look good. They don't look like they did last year. But Ohio State can score points. Oklahoma, Alabama. There are teams that can really score. They just do it in a different way than Georgia. And I do kind of wonder what it would be like to see everyone else play Georgia, play the Dogs. Because, LSU and Florida will play one another, LSU, Alabama. But Georgia really only plays Auburn and Florida. Both teams that they probably should win, although the Auburn game is looking much more competitive than it once did. And I don't know, but when you sit there and you watch Ohio State rack up points left and right, I mean, it's pretty amazing how many points they score. I just wonder if they could grind it out against Georgia. I guess it would, to some degree, depend on the type of game that's being played. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just who's going to dominate on offense. I mean, because Georgia's going to slow it down quite a bit when you're going up against those kind of teams. So it's who dominates the possession of the ball, really. And I mean, just how well can Georgia's defense stack up against those kind of offenses?
Georgia's defense, you say?
Yeah, I mean, just in slowing down those offenses because they like to go fast. And, I mean, we've seen them play teams like that before and have a lot of success over the past couple of years.
They have, but Ohio State has a particular player who doesn't seem like a lot of normal guys. And Georgia people...
Can we not name him?
Well, no.
I know people get upset when he gets mentioned, at least on Dog Post. They don't like his name being mentioned.
They do, but I mean, it's just kind of like, why are you so fired up about, Justin is a very good player.
Yeah.
And he's showing that they are not playing a super challenging schedule yet. I don't know. I don't know how much it matters. Ohio State looks good. I don't know that it looked necessarily better than any one other team, but they certainly have proved they can score. That running back looks legit, and their defense isn't just giving away points like it has in the past. They've gotten that where it needs to go. All of a sudden at Ohio State, it's maybe they needed to change that coach. I don't know. That sounds crazy to say, but maybe.
I mean, things they look clean. I'd say they haven't really, come close to throwing stuff away. I mean, there are times they haven't looked because they can. But I mean, they throttled Nebraska, and apparently
Yeah.
Nebraska was supposed to be good at the beginning of this year. I
Oh
don't know.
no, Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska's. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm ready to say Nebraska is good. I mean that people thought they would be good. Come on, you know how that goes. I mean
It's just
we bet.
overhyped.
Yes,
It's way overhyped with like no solid backing. I feel like.
Nebraska.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, where did that come from? Like,
Oh, it is a hope and dream of television providers, etc., that they can that Nebraska can come back to glory days. It gives you one more team in the Big Ten. It gives you, a. I think that's what people want. They want Nebraska to be back, and they're not. I mean, to some degree, people want Texas to be back, and we're going to see. Listen, man, if Texas doesn't beat Oklahoma, at least
they're not.
once,
I
at
mean,
least go ahead, go ahead.
if they don't beat Oklahoma, then what their season comes down to, they beat a bunch of other decent Big 12 teams maybe, and then lose to their big games, and then that's an okay season, but definitely not what they would be hoping for.
Well, the
They
Texas
lose
is
to.
back bullshit has got to stop at some stage if they don't beat Oklahoma at least once this year. And and then I think people would argue the same thing with Georgia and Alabama. It's like, how many times do we need to see this? Do we need to see this um, movie to not know the ending already? I mean, uh, I but no one's screaming, jumping up and down about Georgia being back. I know that's kind of a joke, but there's going to come a time, and Oklahoma, by the way, has got to win a playoff game at some stage. Everyone in this top group. I mean, would you put Notre Dame in there? I'm not sure I would.
Um, no, because I don't think they're really competing with those kind of teams.
They did what they had to do with Virginia, man, and that's a solid Virginia team. That is a Virginia team that can win the ACC. I don't think they will, but they can win the ACC, and it's markedly improved from where they have been in the past. But uh, when you typically in years gone by, a discussion like this on Riding Home would be centered completely around Tennessee, and it just shows how far that that program has fallen on hard times. I mean, it's not
I mean,
embarrassing, but it's bad.
do you remember how good they were supposed to be in 2016?
They seem like a team of destiny for a little bit there.
Yeah,
I mean
I
that.
mean, and they were solid. They should have been at least. They should have been better than what they were. They were supposed to win the SEC East at the very least,
Yeah,
compete for the SEC maybe.
yeah. Well, they had the
I mean,
comeback against Florida. I think that might have been in 2000. I can't remember when it was, if that was 15 or 16. I just remember Butch Jones getting up on the ladder and directing the band after they beat Florida. And I said to my wife, I said, you don't direct the band in September. Like, never. That can never happen in September because it's September. And then, 18 months later, he's gone. So it's, Tennessee as a program, and having followed them really closely since this century, uh, they are in serious trouble that they might not ever come back, so to speak. I think that's a legitimate thing, and that's not me hating. That's me looking at reality. The same thing can happen to Clemson. The same thing could happen to, I was going to say Florida State, but I don't think it would happen to Florida State for long. But when you are an isolated place, you don't have a natural
Yeah,
recruiting base, and and particularly in Tennessee's situation, when the powers of your conference are in your way the entire time, you got
yeah. I
problems.
mean, they literally have to go through Georgia and Alabama
And Florida,
annually, and Florida. Yeah, I
every
mean
single
that's
year.
too.
Dude, if you think,
Do you,
go ahead and ask your question, and I'll come back with what I was going to
I
say.
was just gonna say. I mean, do you think anytime soon they could get a win over those three? I mean, maybe not in the next decade. I mean, after that, it's kind of hard to say, but get a win over all three of those teams in a singular
Oh
season.
no,
I mean, that's like, yeah,
in a
that's
season?
insane. Yeah,
I don't think they've
there's
beaten all three of those in a season since 1998. Did they beat all three in 1998? I don't even know if they did that. I mean that, if you look at Tennessee's situation since the last time they won the conference, and this is just me counting on air here. 1, 2, 3. 13 times Georgia, Alabama, or Florida have won the conference uh, since Tennessee has won it. 13 times combined. And I mean, there's only been 20 years. So, I mean, it's tough out there. And it's not like Tennessee, made a habit of winning the conference really a lot before that. When you look at when they won the conference three times from 1985 to 1990. One of those was a shared title in 1989, which I do not think they really can legitimately claim. But they have been able to get it going. Obviously, in the 90s they did. But man, I'm telling you right now, it's they are a traditional power. They are. But man, they are
yeah.
that they have been crumbling for a while, and Georgia's caught them. This the winner of this game will take the series. It could be Georgia for the first time since the '80s. Georgia has tied them in the amount of conference championships won. So you can't really make the case that Tennessee is a traditional number two in the SEC anymore. You could you'd have to exclusively at least you got to include Georgia in that. And with the upward trajectory of the Dogs versus the just rough trajectory of Tennessee and the recruiting base just not really existing in a major way. I heard Urban Meyer, Dylan, talk about Nashville and talent there. Yeah, I don't want to hear that, man. I mean, Nashville's like Charlotte. It's got some kids. It doesn't have that many though.
No, I
Not that
mean,
Tennessee can stack up and win with.
and definitely not compared to the likes of Atlanta
No.
or just Metro Atlanta. I mean, like, it's fine. You definitely get kids out of there. You're gonna get kids out of any major city
I think
that just
Tennessee
don't
better.
have.
I think they are. And this is we haven't mentioned the word Jeremy, the name Jeremy Pruitt once. This is way bigger than Jeremy Pruitt, man. This is
No,
a
absolutely.
huge issue. Has been administrative failure for some time at Tennessee, not exclusively football, but they haven't been able to get back on their feet in a while. That men's basketball has carried the torch for them, has got to have mattered because they are slipping very seriously close to becoming Arkansas or even South Carolina.
I mean, at least I don't know. At least are Arkansas, South Carolina better than Tennessee this year? I think so.
I'm
This year,
talking
at
I'm
least.
talking about as legacy programs. I mean, in the grand scheme of the SEC, you have six traditional programs, and they are the six. It's in the East, it's the big three, so that would be Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. In the West, the traditional big three would be Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. We've seen Arkansas play for a Western title three times or twice. For sure twice. We've seen South Carolina play for it once and Missouri play for it twice. But other than that, it's been Georgia, Tennessee, or the Gators. In the West, it's been a little bit sloppier because Mississippi State has gone and played for it once. There's been times where the other teams have gone to playoffs. Clearly, Auburn has played for it several times. But if you're Tennessee, you're not going to get replaced by anyone. I don't think Texas A&M people. I don't think people would look at it the same way. But if you're Tennessee, you
No,
look at yourself in the national, in the world of things, and they are about as far from their peak and their heyday as I can recall. I mean, they were a frightening place, and it's a frightening place to play when Tennessee's good. Nealon, I can't imagine there's anyone concerned in any way about going up there to play this game. I mean, how many Georgia people are going to be up there, Dylan?
a lot. I mean, uh, 10,000, 15,000.
Well, it'll be. I mean, you get 6 or 8,000 anyway. So
Yeah,
I think it could be a substantial number of people. 20,000, I don't think is all, at all out of the question. Uh,
no,
I don't know
Georgia
that 30's
fans.
out of the question.
You can't count out Georgia fans at this point. We've seen too much just craziness on what they do traveling. I mean, Notre Dame, like that. I still can't believe that game
Well,
at Notre Dame.
you still can't
Yeah,
believe that?
no, it's just the amount of fucking Georgia fans over there. Oh my god,
This has always been a very good fan base, and that it is starving, and has been starving for some time, shows that it's a wealthy fan base. It's a starving fan base. I'm just looking at these ticket prices, and you can easily get into Neyland Stadium for under $100. And I expect there to be a pile of Georgia people there. And I don't know how many Tennessee fans I expect to be there. Man, dude, it's looking like
get the checkerboard.
well, it's looking like the bulk of the tickets are under $100. I mean, 50 tickets underneath $82. I mean, you actually can get really good tickets to this game for under $150 if you were willing to pay, the brokers, like, really good tickets. But I would say it's a shame, but Tennessee has brought this on themselves, and it's one thing you got to watch if you're Georgia, because Georgia got bad, but they never got this bad, and Alabama has been bad before too. People don't remember it, but it definitely occurred. I mean, they were 3-8 or 4-7 the year after winning a conference. This thing can happen. But for Georgia, they have got tremendous support. They believe in the head coach, and he's positioned this team for a championship run. I've talked a lot here. Do you have any?
Tennessee is still better than people think. We got to remember that, according to Kirby.
They're. Well, he didn't say how much better. He didn't say.
Yeah, maybe 100 times.
He didn't say how much better.
Derek Pruitt did, though. 100 times better, said last year.
It's tough out there for the Vols. All right, we will see you tomorrow on Riding Home. Go to the Dog Post website, dawgpost.com. Dylan, we'll see you there. And thanks for everybody for listening.